The birth of Abel. In the previous verse we saw the birth of Cain, the first child born of a woman in human history. From that moment the multiplication of humanity outside Eden begins. Scripture continues in Genesis chapter 4, verse 2. Then she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. The name Abel comes from the Hebrew word hebel, which means breath, vapor, or something fleeting. From the very beginning, Scripture reminds us of the fragility of human life after the fall. Humanity begins to multiply, yet it lives under the reality of a brief and fragile existence. With these words, the Bible introduces the second son of Adam and Eve. Abel appears in human history as a shepherd of sheep. His occupation reveals a figure that will later run throughout the whole Scripture, because the shepherd becomes an image deeply connected with the care, guidance, and protection of God's people. Throughout biblical history, we see that other servants of God walked in the same occupation. Jacob tended flocks, Moses was a shepherd in the wilderness before being called to deliver Israel, David was also a shepherd before being raised as king. And finally, Jesus Christ himself is revealed as the Good Shepherd who gives his life for the sheep. Thus, from the earliest chapters of the Bible, this figure begins to appear, one that will cross the entire history of redemption. Abel enters Scripture as a shepherd, and with him an image is introduced that later points toward God's care for his people. This passage also reminds us that every life appears within the purpose of God. Abel is presented simply, yet his story will show how even in the earliest steps of humanity, the struggle between righteousness and sin begins to appear in the human heart. Humanity multiplies outside Eden, yet the government of God continues guiding history. From these first births, Scripture begins to reveal how the divine plan advances through the generations until its final fulfillment. The echo of the voice of God.